my sexy little creeps. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Macabre Mondays. I should preface this episode by saying I think I'm losing my mind. I am in a state of delirium due to the heat. Honestly, I believe hell would be more enjoyable right now than LA is. So for that fact, I am not drinking wine today because honestly, I couldn't if I wanted to. It's too damn hot. So I am drinking Los Angeles Moscato. It's sweet as hell, unlike myself. Honest truths, folks. It's delicious. It is quenching my thirst right now, which is all that matters. We are going to the whale's vagina, aka San Diego. You should know what that means, honestly. And we are going to the Casa de Bandini, which is also known as the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Old Town San Diego. However, tell me, honestly, is the Casa de Bandini not more fun to say than the Cosmopolitan? Exactly. Doesn't matter. Ha! Last note before we get on with the show. The hell that was, who knows? Anyways, I am wearing, hello, the Macabre Mondays shirt. Yes, all right, whatever. It's a crop top, so what? Okay, no, I will not be selling crop tops. I will be selling full-size shirts if you don't want to wear baby shirts. However, apparently I like to wear baby shirts. Who cares? Whatever. Ching ching, creeps. Let's get cold and talk about some ghosts. Because honestly, what's colder than ghosts? I wish I was surrounded by them right now, honestly. I would love to be drenched in death. Just kidding. Maybe. The history of the Casa de Bandini. Well, it was built by Don Juan Bandini. Ha! Shocker! It was built between 1827 to 1829 in what is now known as Old Town San Diego, what essentially at the time was just San Diego. He was this Peruvian bro who came over to what was Mexico at the time. And he was this wealthy cattle rancher, and he had a wife at the time and like tons of kids. His first wife, by the way, died during childbirth for their sixth kid, if that gives you any kind of a, idea of the lifestyle. 12-room U-shaped house. Big deal. Everybody went there because he was known for throwing 3-day fandangos, which was essentially fiestas, which were essentially parties. He also was known to hate the government, and he even at one time would plan, not one time, multiple times, he would have these meetings at his house to overthrow the government. One time, getting a bunch of his buddies together, they got some guns, muskets, whatever it was at the time, went to LA, sent the mayor of LA at the time packing on a freaking boat to Mexico. One of his buddies took office, so that was kind of rad. But unfortunately, when Mexico became California, all of the wealthy cattle ranchers had a really hard time adapting to the American merchant-based system. So he eventually kind of lost all of his money, went into debt, and shortly before he died, in 1859, he sold the house and it went into total disrepair. Until 1869, when this guy named Albert Seeley bought it and basically added a freaking top floor. He bought it for $2,000, by the way, which is insane. And he added a second unattached story. So it literally just sits on top of the adobe story. It was this Greek revival story with this wraparound porch. And he put in 10 rooms that were small and 10 rooms that were large. And he basically made it into a stagecoach, a hotel, a post office, a saloon, and a barber shop. He was crazy. And that kind of revived it. That was when it became the Cosmopolitan Hotel, obviously. And that totally revived the spot. Everybody would would go there. Unfortunately, though, the railroad system expanded. And in 1888, he ended up having to sell a place because now everyone was going down to New San Diego, which is now known as the Gaslamp Quarter. Nobody was going to Old Town San Diego. So, unfortunately, in 1888, the Seeley sold the property, again went into disrepair. At one point, it was like an olive canning factory. And then, let me check my notes, in 1928, Bandini's grandson actually bought the place, wired it up with electricity, reopened it as a hotel, and then at some point, it exchanged hands again in the 50s, this couple who turned it into a tourist place. And then finally, bum-ba-da-bum, in 1968, the state of California bought Old Town, the section, or was donated, or whatever, doesn't matter, and became a state historic park. And then it was renovated for 3 years for multi-millions of dollars, and now it's open to the public as another operational hotel and restaurant. That was exhausting, honestly. Deaths on the property. There's none recorded. There's a legend of one of his daughters falling off the roof. It's not true. Bandini's daughters, that is. Although there's also a story that she fell from the house into the arms of her husband, which is actually not terrifying when considering when she might have lived there would have been one-story house. That's it for deaths. Although, unless you want to count the, thousands upon thousands of Indians that were brutally murdered on the land, then sure, tons of death. Now, at this point, you guys might be like, hey, I think I've heard of this place before. And that's probably because my, comrades, the douchebagels of the paranormal world, aka Ghost Adventures show, went to the Cosmopolitan Hotel.
Lockdown. We're gonna step back into the past and try and communicate with the history here at the Cosmopolitan Hotel.
And, in their usual fashion, screamed at the ghosts, Bandini!
Bandini! Estás aquí!
And then, intermixed with tons of shot.
Shot, 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 shot.
Shot, shot.
There he goes. Shot, shot, shot.
No. They went there trying to find the ghost of Bandini himself. I do not believe Bandini is at the Cosmopolitan Hotel, nor do any of the psychics or other ghost investigators that go there. However, that is not to say the Cosmopolitan Hotel is not ripe with paranormal activity, because it is. It's insane. Basically, when you stay there, there's little journals in all of the guest bedrooms. Why? Because they want you to record your paranormal activity. There's so many experiences that happen there. They literally leave journals, guest books, and I love when places embrace that. So, where's the most activity? Room number 11. Why? Well, later on down the line, Isadora, who was one of Bandini's daughters, went back and actually stayed there because she wanted to relive her childhood memories, and she would always, always, always stay in room 11. What's cool is all of the rooms, like I said, have journals. Well, in her room, they're constantly having to replace the journal because so many people are experiencing things that they get filled up too fast. Like, it's the number one room of activity. People see the curtains moving. The bathrobe is absolutely constantly thrown on the floor. They hear noises. I mean, literally the manager of the hotel won't go in the room by himself. And there's certain staff members that also won't go in there. That's how, creepy it is. Although, I feel like it would be a good energy. I mean, she grew up there. I think she's probably just there and doesn't want to leave. It's a childhood home. I get that. There is a legend about room 4-5. People say there's a carved headboard, there's a carved dresser. One has the face of a little girl, one has the face of a woman. They're looking at each other. There's a legend saying that it's either Bandini's daughter and child, which is not true. And it's also a legend that it's saying whoever carved it, it's this tragic story of his wife and daughter dying. Neither are true. And actually, nobody knows who the carver is. And it's not original to the house, so it kind of has nothing to do with it. However, room 4-5 is known for having phantom knocks on the door. Also, the saloon. Glasses and alcohol bottles literally fly off the shelves. That's unusual. Then you also have the game room. Literally, chess pieces move, chairs slide out. It's insane. And then there's the Bandini room, which is like a private dining room. People see full-blown apparitions there. Like getting up from a couch and going to the wall constantly. Do I think that some of his kids are there? Yeah, because they tended to visit a lot more. Do I think Bandini's there? No, he didn't die there. And there's just not enough reports saying that he's there. However, do I think the place is haunted? Hell yeah. When I was taking footage of the place, this is when I was in the saloon, okay? I was completely by myself. The people that work there are very open about it being haunted. I said, hey, can I get some footage? They said, yeah, no problem. So I'm walking around, I'm filming, I'm completely by myself, and I'm in the saloon taking some footage. And you know that feeling you get when somebody walks behind you and you kind of like somebody else is in the room, you're very conscious of it. And I kind of jumped because I was by myself and I looked behind me expecting to see one of the workers or the Dawsons or whatever. There was nobody there. It was just me. or Isadora. What's really neat about the Cosmopolitan Hotel was in its heyday, especially when Bandini owned it, was really known for being this place of celebration. And now it feels like that again. Like there's really no way else for me to describe the house besides saying it really feels like there's a lot of life there, which is kind of ironic considering it's known for so much of, you know, ghost presence. And I promise you that I'm not saying this just because I've been there drinking way too much tequila. Way too much. You know, what's so beautiful about the entire area of Old Town San Diego, I mean, you have the Whaley House on that property, which is one of the most haunted houses in America. There's just such an exciting, full of life feeling in the entire area, which is so funny because it's one giant cemetery, essentially. These are really, really, really old buildings, some of the oldest buildings in California, and yet it's so joyful, which is really, really interesting and really fun. And what I love also so much about it is how much they celebrate their history and really embrace the fact that, like, hey, some of these people are still walking amongst us. Ching ching to you, Old Town San Diego. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Macabre Mondays. Sorry I've been a sweaty, disgusting mess this entire episode. But whatever. You still love me, don't ya? Please. And please share, fellow creeps, and follow me on Instagram, okay? I'm posting like once a day, and it's pretty creepy stuff and pretty fun stuff. And you should be a part of it. Peace. Chin chin.